The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated. Reproduction or dissemination other than for the purpose of education or information without the express written permission of the Phoenix Research Institute or Nova Society Media is strictly prohibited. Welcome back to the Nova Society, and we're going to change things up a little bit. Our dear friend Scott Gershwer is busy in the Caribbean, and he is sunning himself on some beach. So I am the host, Dr. Mark Bound, and I'm joined by my guest, our usual host, Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon. And these next two episodes are going to be about those things that seem to keep Brooklyn up at night. So, Brooklyn, what do you got?
Oh, boy. Mark, what a question. That is the big question. Oh, and there are so many. The upcoming, I don't even want to call it an administration, Trump gang, shall we say, tariffs, the threats of Greenland, Panama, annexing this, bombing that, revenge tour, and tying aid to California now. Speaker Mike Johnson was saying yesterday, the day before, is that aid to California, to the wildfire damage, that terrible, tragic damage there. Aid would be tied apparently to raising the debt ceiling or to changes in leadership, whatever the incoming group wants. I just see a complete alteration of what we thought, we Americans, or at least this American, thought was America was. And I realized that, of course, America was not. If you look at the poetry of Langston Hughes, for example, who was a Black American, his poem "America Never Was America," I think it's either for me or to me. There are so many instances of individuals for whom the promise of America never emerged. The rewriting of American history, including of the January 6th incident, the denial of climate change, the rejection of our American allies and alliances, the silence about Putin and what's happening there. So there are so many things that make me very concerned. The enemy
So what do you
within,
want to start with?
I don't know, Mark. I really don't know. I think the tying of aid, and saying, well, there's been mismanagement of California forests, and all they need to do is pipe in water from North California. Well, there is no such pipeline, for one thing. And for another, the forests in California, about half of those, as far as I know, are national parks. And those are not under state control. Those are federal. So that's got nothing to do with the state. And it's damage, wildfires like this and are from climate change. It has nothing to do with Democrats. It has nothing to do with lesbians, for heaven's sakes. That's another issue that very much worries me, the continuous barrage of disinformation, misinformation, and also the visa issue, where all immigration is supposed to stop, but now Trump likes the skilled worker because, of course, then skilled workers from other countries can be hired and then paid a lower wage, and American workers who get paid more can train those workers and then be discharged. And in the meantime, since Trump likes the ignorant or uneducated, our own people do not become educated. And I see the whole thing as a very vicious cycle. So there's that, and there was something more.
Well, let's just stick right now with the aid to California. So this is hostage negotiations. This is basically what it is. And if you want to look at history and how this correlates, this really goes back to the reason that the founding fathers wanted to have independence from England. because England was basically holding the colonies hostage and were making rules for the colonies, and the colonies had no say. And yes, federal aid to California is going to be extremely important. There should be no caveats placed upon it. The fact is that it's a state of the United States. Whether you agree with their philosophy or not is irrelevant. But what we're truly seeing now is that this new group coming in wants to not only control the United States, but at the same time create a morality of what the United States in their mind is supposed to be. And I would remind everyone listening to this that that includes, like you said, it includes gay marriage, it includes, a whole plethora of different issues that could come up. They want to, the Republicans were always the ones that said, keep government out of your life. Well, guess what? This is government that gets right into your face and right into every aspect, even the most private and personal aspects of your life. So if you thought that you were going to, be able to live in a society where government minded its own business and minded government, and that was where they stayed, and that was their lane they were going to stay in, I got bad news for you. That is not going to happen. You have a bunch of ideologues coming in, and when they say, well, listen, you've got to do all of this, California. Oh, and the Democrats, you've got to do all of this before we're going to help California and the populace of California. And let's remember, not everybody in California voted for Democrats. So they're not only hurting the people that voted for Democrats, they're hurting their own people. And again, it's kind of insanity, and it's ruling almost like a monarch. What I say goes. This is going to be the rules. That's it, and that is not what the founding fathers had envisioned for our country. And it is, as I say, it's one of the reasons why the colonies back in the 18th century decided to gain independence. So here's the bad news to you people that think that this is a great idea. California has a massive economy. If California's economy was put onto the world stage, it would be like within the top 10. What if California was to say, all right, U.S., screw you. We'll take care of ourselves. They could do it. Now, would it be easy? No, it would not be easy. But that's exactly what you are you're running yourself into. Those people down here in the South that say, oh, yeah, yep, it should be evangelical and this, that, and the other. Well, so you're telling another state what they have to do. Isn't that why your ancestors supposedly started the Civil War? Because the North was telling you supposedly what to do? That they were going to change your way of life? They were going to try to abolish slavery, which was a way of life that you had. So what you're doing is, now we're talking 175 years later. Now you're going to tell California what they're going to do. So there's a bit of hypocrisy into that. It's unfortunate. Now to the workers thing that you've got, yeah, having a policy where they only take in workers that are needed, the educated, stuff like that, that's nothing new. Australia has it. New Zealand has it. There's a bunch of different countries that is, they look at you. You're trying to come in to be a permanent resident. You're trying to come in and be a national citizen. They look at you. Okay, what benefit are you to our country? And there's certain things we need. And if we don't need that, your chances of getting in are slim. So that's nothing really new there. But you've got a good point in the fact that, when we look at who's now in charge of the who will be in charge of the Department of Education, they are attempting to keep the general American public uneducated. So no matter what you say, when these people come in and they're the educated people, they're not coming in here for free. They're not coming in here to work below minimum wage. They're not coming in here to pick tomatoes. They're coming in here for those big jobs. And if you want to know, if you need proof of that, look at what Elon Musk has said. He likes those foreign workers. They're better educated than the Americans. So they're basically raising the status of those immigrants that supposedly you hate so much, that you're so afraid of, but they're just doing it a different way. You're saying, well, these immigrants are just crossing the border. You're worried about those immigrants who are the ones that are doing those jobs that Americans won't do, plain and simple. Well, this administration should make you afraid of those immigrants that are coming in now legally, that are going to be doing those jobs that you probably want, and that most employers, a lot of these foreign employers, don't think that you are qualified for. So either way, you're kind of screwed.
Oh yes, and the other is all these confirmations. Pete Hegseth had his hearing yesterday, and I listened to some of it, just a few points from a few senators, and I noticed that he could not say yes or no to yes or no questions. He would start off saying, well, I made this commitment. Well, that's not yes, and that's not no. And I don't understand. Why can't he just say yes or no? That's what I don't understand.
Well, if you ever watch these confirmation hearings, and I don't care, who's doing it, Republicans, Democrats, anything else, they never give you a solid answer. This is a horse and pony show. This is all there is. Confirmations are generally already decided before the first hearing is had, whether or not they're going to get in or whether or not this is a horse and pony show. And the one thing that a politician, and let's face it, even though these are would be heads of an administration of agencies, they're still politicians in some form or another, and politicians never give you a solid answer. There's no yay or nay, except when they vote on the floor. And even then, if you ever watch the vote on the floor, when they have the ticker up there, it takes forever for a lot of these people to actually cast a vote. And that's the hedging the bet in a lot of ways. So I don't find that to be too disturbing. I think that's the way it's always been. Nobody's going to commit, because there's a lot of times if you commit, now you might be held to it. Not that we do that really here. I mean, you commit to a lot. People will say, yeah, well, I'm going to do this, and then they don't do it, such as build the wall, and Mexico is going to pay for it. He committed to that, but that never happened, and nobody held him accountable for that. So, again, he's playing the game. The thing that got me was, and I have not watched a lot of that confirmation hearing. Depending on who you listen to, depends on how well he did. I saw on Fox said he destroyed the Democrats, the questions of the Democrats. I don't know what snippets they were taking out of that to come up with that conclusion. But again, I encourage everyone to watch those. Watch them and make your own mind up. Don't let Fox News, Jesse Waters, tell you what happened, or his interpretation, or Gorka, or any one of these other Looney Tunes. Watch the doggone thing and make up your mind. Now, you can look at it even from a biased standpoint, where you're all behind Pete Hegseth. You can look at it from that but there's got to be a few things in there that make you scratch your head and say, what? That is the start of us becoming an informed electorate, making our own decisions. The reason Trump got elected is because so many people just basically said, okay, Fox said this, therefore it must be so. This was their interpretation of it, therefore it must be so, because it's my little echo chamber. I have confirmation bias, and great, and I'm going to go with it. And I got bad news for you. When you do that, that's when you make bad decisions, and that's when those decisions come back and they bite you on the ass. Yeah, and that was not me sticking up for Pete Hegseth. I'm just saying, nothing new here, nothing to see, nothing new in this hearing compared to any of the other ones.
Yeah, no, it's and also I think people voted for Trump because they actually believed that he was going to lower the prices of eggs, which is not going to happen. And the prices of eggs are going to go up probably again because, as I understand, a lot of hens had to be culled due to bird flu, which is what happens when there's factory farming. When you cram all these animals in together, there's going to be illness.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like COVID. I don't blame Trump for the COVID economy. That was a bad thing. I blame him for his coming out of it, the way he approached coming out of it. I blame him for denying that it existed. Those are the things I blame him for.
Right.
So, I mean, it's one of the, a tsunami hits Fiji, their economy, their infrastructure. I can't blame the people that are in charge of the country for that disaster. What's going on in California, the wildfires. I can't blame Governor Newsom for that. Now, I can look at his response to it, and I can maybe find fault with it, or I can applaud it, whichever way it goes. But the fact is that, hey, it's a natural occurrence. Things aren't always going to go exactly the way we want, but we can evaluate the response. And you're right. Eggs probably are not going to come down. They're not going to come down. He has even said, Trump has even said, oh, controlling prices is a little harder than I actually thought it was going to be. Now, again, now the question comes down to, will those people that thought bacon and eggs were going to come down, are they going to accept that answer? And it seems like so far they accept it. We'll see.
Yeah, J.D. Vance apparently has reappeared at least a little bit, and he said that they're going to stabilize prices. So they've gone from lowering prices to stabilizing prices, and that's their goal.
Good luck with that.
Yep.
Maybe Scott and I are wrong. Maybe there is a little dial on the Resolute desk that they can turn that'll change the price of bacon or whatever. But again, whoever you listen to exaggerates these things or plays them down. I remember, 2-3 years ago on Fox News, I think it was Jesse Waters or one of them, one of the Fox and Friends yo-yos said, oh, I bought a turkey that it was $90. And I'm thinking that had to be the Godzilla of all turkeys. I mean, I'm sorry. A normal turkey, let's say it was 35 pounds. So you're talking that's a big turkey. I mean, this had to be the King Kong of all turkeys if you paid $90 for it. And the price of turkey when I bought ours was like, I don't know, $1.29 a pound. That would mean that this turkey would be somewhere in the range of around about 70 pounds. That's a monster. I want to see the guy that actually tried to kill that thing. He probably got his butt kicked. I mean, you got to look at those things. The minute that Trump it was confirmed that he was elected. Oh, the economy's better. Economy didn't change one single bit. But because Fox News or OAN or Newsmax told their mindless listeners that it was better, oh, okay, now it's better. Now you're still paying the same at the pump. Your eggs were still the same price. Your bacon was still the same price. Everything was still the same price, but you've been told that it's better, therefore it must be. And that's why they have an in. That's what they want. So if you're afraid of the country, if you're afraid of great replacement theory, if you're afraid of, illegal immigrants crossing the border and taking away, your way of life, I got news for you. The ones you really should be afraid of, Elon Musk, Ramaswamy, these guys, because they're looking to do it at the high end, not at the low end. And they're going to do it so it's legal for them to do it. And as long as they keep you uneducated, they can get away with it. So, well, I hope I helped a little bit, Brooke.
Well, I was thinking maybe Canada should join. Maybe California should join Canada.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Canada would love it because that would actually give them San Diego, which would give them one place that has the greatest weather ever.
Yeah, true.
Canada would probably say, hey, great news. We'll take it.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of Canadians would probably move immediately to San Diego, where honest to gosh, it is the best weather on the face of it really is the greatest weather. It really is. Always sunny, warm, doesn't get too cold. Yep. I'm sure that the Canadians would welcome that. And we'll see what happens with that. We'll see. All right, Brooke, I hope I allayed a couple of your fears. We'll do this again tomorrow. And
thank you, Mark.
So everybody, thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time on the Nova Society. The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We'd like to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing partners, Apple iTunes, the largest source of podcasts and music on the internet, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your source for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. We'd also like to thank all of our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society would not be possible. If you have a question or a comment, we can be reached at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So for Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Priscilla Hobbs, Dr. Scott Gershwer, and all of us here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power in society is knowledge. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Journal of Interdisciplinary Conflict Science. The JCIS is an open journal for upcoming scholars. The JCIS is currently accepting article submissions on an ongoing basis. JCIS is a publication of Nova Works, a scholarly repository at Nova Southeastern University. A link to the journal is in our description.